All right, everybody, welcome back. So today we're diving into Ionis.
Ionis, yeah.
You guys want to learn more about them, and specifically, it seems like you're really interested in their VPS hosting plans.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and you've obviously done your homework, got all the info here. We're looking at their main website, their About Us, and then a deep dive, it looks like, on VPS. So
Yeah,
good stuff, good place to start.
for sure.
So the big question is, are they just another hosting company, or is there, something more to this story?
Yeah, there's something special about Ionis.
Right. So let's unpack this a little bit, because one of the things they say right off the bat is the trusted partner for digital transformation. Now, trusted, that's a big word to throw around, right? Yeah.
It is a big word. And you know what? People throw it around all the time, but they've been around since 1988.
Oh, wow.
That's a long time in the tech world.
That is a long time.
So that does give them some weight, I think, to their claim.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And when they say digital transformation, what does that even mean in the context of, like, web hosting? You know what I mean? Like, what are they really saying?
Well, you're right to pick up on that because it is a bit of a buzzword these days.
Right.
Everybody's digitally transforming, right?
Yeah.
But in the simplest terms, it's businesses using tech. Usually we're talking about smaller to medium businesses using tech to fundamentally change how they work, how they serve their customers. Maybe they were brick and mortar before and now they're moving everything online.
Okay, so it's almost like it's not just about the hosting itself, it's about Ionos can help you actually, like, make that digital leap.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how can they partner with you in that transformation?
Partner, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so they're thinking big picture here. And they've got the numbers, it seems like, at least on the surface, to back it up. They're talking about 22 million domains hosted, or 6 million customer contracts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not some small operation.
No, not at all. That's what I'm saying. 1988, that's, like you said, that's almost ancient history in the tech world. So.
Right. Like, back when having a website was, like, the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Speaking of cool things, I noticed something else on here that I thought was interesting. They offer, like, a personal consultant service.
Oh, yeah.
Which you don't see that very often, right?
No, not very often at all.
Yeah.
Especially with, like, the tech world, with hosting.
Yeah.
It's, you're used to calling up and getting those automated menus.
Tell me about it. Press 1 for.
Right, exactly.
And then you never get to talk to a human.
It's like pulling teeth sometimes.
Right. So a dedicated consultant, especially for someone maybe who's newer to web hosting or just needs a little more hand-holding, I could see that being, like, a huge selling point.
Oh, absolutely. That personalized touch can make all the difference.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if they're trying to create a different kind of customer relationship, right? Like, one built on, like, that personal touch, that guidance, and then they kind of double down on it by, really emphasizing transparency, risk-free contracts. They're talking about 30-day money-back guarantee, flexible terms, all that good stuff. It's almost like they're saying, look, we're confident that you'll love us, but if you don't, hey, no hard feelings,
And that confidence can be really reassuring, especially when you're trusting a company with something as important as your online presence.
That's very true. Okay, so we're getting a good sense of Ionos as a company, but let's dive into, what we're really here for, the VPS hosting.
Right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Exactly, because that seems to be what really piqued everybody's interest, and for good reason. I mean, VPS, it's a whole other beast, right?
It is.
Compared to your basic shared hosting. So for folks out there who've maybe done a little research, they've kicked the tires on some VPS options, what are some of the things that Ionos brings to the table that really stand out?
Well, for one, they don't shy away from the tech stuff. Like, right away, you're hit with things like NVMe storage, unlimited traffic, a free Plesk license.
Okay, so break that down for me a little bit, because those are all good things. We know those are good things.
Yeah.
But what do they actually mean for, like, the person who's using Ionos's VPS?
Right. So take the NVMe storage, for example. That's all about speed. Basically, instead of your website data being stuck on, an old hard drive, it's like it's on a super fast train. We're talking 5, even 10 times faster loading speeds.
Whoa.
And that matters because, well, nobody wants to wait around for a website to load, right?
No, especially not these days.
Exactly. So, happier visitors, better SEO for your site, more conversions, it all ties in.
Makes sense. Okay, so faster loading times, that's huge. What about this unlimited traffic? Because that always sounds good, but there's usually, like, an asterisk, right?
You'd think so. But in this case, they seem to be pretty upfront about it.
Yeah.
So unlike some hosts that start, throttling your bandwidth once you hit a certain limit, Ionos lets your site grow without those penalties.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a business that's you're experiencing rapid growth, or maybe you have those seasonal traffic spikes.
Right, the holidays are coming.
Exactly. You're covered. No need to worry about your site crashing because, oh no, we've had too many visitors.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, you don't want to be down during a big sale or anything like that.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's peace of mind. Now, this free Plesk license, what is that about?
So Plesk, think of it as the control panel for your VPS.
Mm-hmm.
It's the interface you use. And having a user-friendly one, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So a free license saves you money, obviously, but it also just simplifies the whole server management side of things.
Okay, so it's like having an assistant.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It takes care of some of the technical heavy lifting so you can focus on, what's important, your content, your customers.
I like it. All right, so we're seeing some good things in terms of like the actual guts of their VPS hosting. And now, I did notice they have a range of plans, right?
They do, yeah.
From XS all the way up to XXL.
They've got options for everybody.
It seems like they've got an option for pretty much, whatever you might need.
Yeah.
And their pricing, at least at first glance, seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, very transparent.
Which is always nice. You hate those hidden fees and all that.
Nobody likes those.
No, nobody does. So speaking of being transparent, let's talk about their FAQ section on this, because they've really gone above and beyond.
They really have, yeah.
I mean, they cover everything. Setup time, choices for operating systems like, should I go with Windows? Should I go with Linux? Even the difference between VPS and dedicated servers.
It's really comprehensive.
Yeah, it's like they've anticipated every question. So let's actually dig into a couple of those FAQs, because I think they're probably on a lot of listeners' minds too. First up, setup time. They're saying it takes a few minutes to get your VPS up and running.
Yeah, that's their claim, and it's pretty impressive.
That seems really fast.
It is. I mean, traditionally setting up a VPS, that could be like an all-day thing, maybe even longer. But with Ionos, they've streamlined it. They've automated a lot of the processes.
Yeah.
So you could go from like signing up to having your VPS ready to go in the time it takes to, grab a cup of coffee.
It's out of here. Seriously. That's wild. Okay, so that's super convenient. The other one, and this is a big one, is the operating system choice. Windows versus Linux. And you see that a lot with VPS. What are the key things that someone should be thinking about when they're making that decision? So if you're used to using Windows on your computer, is that kind of the way to go? Or should people be thinking about Linux even if it seems a little, more techy?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? It really boils down to, like you said, your comfort level and what you need. Windows, yeah, it's going to feel familiar to most people. It's generally a bit more user-friendly, especially if you're just starting out. But Linux often gives you more flexibility, more control, and it can be easier on the wallet because you don't always have those licensing fees.
Okay, so it's like a trade-off. Like how much do you want to,
Exactly.
ease of use versus like how much power do you want under the hood, right?
Yep. And the good news is Ionos, they actually have resources and support for both.
Oh, okay.
So you're not on your own either way.
That's good. That's good to know. Okay. Now, the other FAQ you mentioned, this is the big one, VPS versus dedicated servers.
Ah, yes.
What's the difference and why would someone choose one over the other?
Right, because when you're first starting out, you hear dedicated server. It's like, ooh.
It sounds fancy.
It sounds amazing, right? Like I've got this whole thing to myself.
Have my own little playground.
Exactly. And there are definitely cases where that makes sense, where that's the right choice. But it really comes down to resources and how much you're willing to spend.
Mm-hmm.
So dedicated, you are renting that entire physical server just for you. All the resources, total control, but you're going to pay a premium for that.
Right.
With VPS, you're sharing resources on that physical server, but you still get your dedicated portion of it. Think of it like, you get your slice of the pie, and it's a powerful pie. It's usually more budget friendly, especially if you don't need all the bells and whistles, all the resources of a dedicated server.
So if I'm like a growing business, maybe my website traffic fluctuates a lot, VPS gives me that salability without breaking the bank.
Exactly. It's about hitting that sweet spot of, performance, flexibility, and in your budget. And that seems to be a theme with Ionos.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, so let's bring it all home. We've unpacked Ionos. We've gone deep on this VPS hosting. Is it more than just another hosting company? What do we think?
From everything we've seen, I'd say, yeah, they're definitely aiming to be more than just your average hosting provider. I mean, they have all the standard stuff, of course, but it's how they do it. It's that long track record, that focus on, really working with you one-on-one, those consultants, that transparent pricing, even the way they've structured their VPS plans to cater to different needs, different tech skill levels. It all points to this very customer-centric approach, which you don't always see.
Yeah, it seems that they actually want to build a relationship with you.
Exactly.
Not just like, take your money and run.
It's not
Don't-
just a transaction for them.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Okay, so there you have it, everybody. Ion's more than just a hosting company. Sounds like the evidence leans towards yes, but ultimately the choice is yours. You got to weigh the pros and cons, figure out what's important to you. So, here's a final thought for you all as you continue your hosting journey. Don't just check the boxes, think about the big picture. Who do you want to partner with for your online presence? Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Catch you next time.